So much has happened in the last week in the NFL. It's a ton. I mean, look, I'm going to talk about the things that interest me. I can't keep track of all of it. I have 11 teams I want to discuss right now. Some of those teams did things that were brilliant. Other teams did things that were baffling and confusing to me. And there are 3 teams that I find really, really intriguing. We'll talk about all of them in a minute. But first, I want to talk about the teams that baffled me. The Tennessee Titans traded for quarterback Ryan Tannehill. They traded with the Dolphins, got the Dolphins' former franchise quarterback. And this is truly baffling. I don't understand this. The question is this: why? Why would you trade for Ryan Tannehill? What is the motive behind this trade? And what kind of message does this send to your franchise? I mean, do the Titans view Ryan Tannehill as a backup? Is he a potential guy who could usurp and start over Marcus Mariota someday? I don't know. Are they bringing in a mentor to help Marcus Mariota? Again, or are they trying to replace their quarterback? Nobody knows, and they haven't made it very clear. And the lack of clarity to me is what makes this all bizarre. It sends a very weird message to your franchise, to your fan base, and even to your starting quarterback, Marcus Mariota. I don't know what to make of this, and it's a very weird move that is just, again, the word I come up with is baffling. Now, I will say this: if Ryan Tannehill ever does become the Titans' starting quarterback, you can at least say, well, they got him for a really, really low price. The Titans got Ryan Tannehill and a 6th-round pick, and all they had to give up was a 2020 4th-round pick and a 2019 7th-round pick. If ever Ryan Tannehill does become the Titans' starting quarterback, that is a bargain price. But right now, I just have no idea why they did it. I don't think he's there to start over Marcus Mariota, but maybe he is. Dude, we have no idea. And it's just a very, very bizarre move that makes very little sense to me. Now, the Broncos, they're another baffling team. They spent a ton of money on a right tackle, Jawan James. They gave him a 4-year deal worth $51 million, $32 million guaranteed. I get it. Like, I understand where the Broncos are coming from. They want to make their offensive line better. But, man, they're paying an average offensive lineman a salary as if he was one of the top linemen in the NFL. I just don't see it. Like, Jawan James is a good lineman. He's really good. He's a starter for sure on a lot of teams. But he's not worth the money they gave him, and I just find that baffling. But if we're going to use the word baffling. Here's what's truly baffling. Everything the New York Giants have done this offseason just completely is bizarre to me. I don't get it. The New York Giants traded away their best wide receiver, Odell Beckham Jr. Really, Odell Beckham Jr. is not only their best wide receiver, he was one of the best in the entire NFL. They traded away Odell Beckham Jr. In return, the Giants got a 2019, the 17th overall pick, a 3rd-round pick, and a new safety to replace Landon Collins, Jabril Peppers. That's weird to me. I don't understand that move. Now, they did make one move that really makes sense to me. They signed Antoine Bethea, so now they have 2 safeties on their defense, Antoine Bethea and Jabril Peppers. So I like that. That's really solid. But it gets really weird. After trading away Odell Beckham Jr., they signed wide receiver Golden Tate, a veteran wide receiver. They gave him a really big contract, 4 years, $37.5 million, $23 million guaranteed. Oy, I don't get it. So look, you trade away Odell Beckham Jr., and you replace him with a slot wide receiver, which is really weird to me. It doesn't make any sense for your roster because you already have Sterling Shepard. And they didn't really fill a need. They signed an older veteran wide receiver for a lot of money, a guy who's out of their prime, and it just doesn't make any sense. You now have 2 number 2s, 2 Golden Tate and Sterling Shepard, and you don't have a number 1 wide receiver like Odell Beckham Jr., and you signed Golden Tate to a lot of money. All is very bizarre to me. It's a weird move. I personally am really disappointed. I think the Giants are going to pick up a quarterback in the NFL draft, and I was really hoping that we would see at some point Saquon Barkley, Odell Beckham Jr., and their young rookie quarterback all play together, and we're not going to get that. It's very weird to me that what the Giants are doing doesn't seem to make any sense at all. You know, their moves seem to lack direction, and there's no clear strategy behind what they're doing. I can't see it. Maybe the Giants have a plan that nobody knows about, but it's very weird to me, and I just have no idea what's going on in the Giants front office. So those were the 3 teams I found baffling: the Broncos, the Titans, and the Giants. The Giants are the worst. They don't make any sense to me. But a couple of teams did really, really well. There are 5 teams I thought did really, really well in the NFL offseason moves. The first team I want to talk about is the Cleveland Browns. We just talked about them a minute ago. The Browns traded for Odell Beckham Jr. It's fantastic. I love it. Look, they signed Kareem Hunt, a guy who has an 8-game suspension, which really, all things considered, an 8-game suspension is relatively low for Kareem Hunt, and he's going to make an impact next season. The Browns, wow, they are scary. They're going to have Kareem Hunt, Jarvis Landry, Antonio Callaway, Nick Chubb, their quarterback Baker Mayfield. They are stacked all across the board on offense. Now, they also signed a defensive tackle, Sheldon Richardson. Another great move, another Pro Bowler. He's a stud. He's a defensive tackle. Their defense got better. Their offense is now terrifying. I love it. I really, really love what the Browns are doing. Here's what you can say about the Browns. Someone commented this on YouTube. I really liked it. I agreed with it. The Browns' problem is no longer talent. What that means is now they have to figure out what is their problem. The problem for the Browns and what the Browns need to do, they're super talented. And now they need to develop and make sure they are actively creating a culture of winning. I like their odds of doing this. They have a quarterback, Baker Mayfield. He sets the tone for the Cleveland Browns. You can never say again the Browns aren't talented. They are incredibly talented. Now they need to develop a culture. I don't think the Browns are a Super Bowl team. I think they are a playoff team. But if they can organize all of their players, all of their talent, and continue building a new culture, they are a team. The Browns will make the playoffs next year in 2019 if they can again organize all of their talent and build a winning culture. Now it's up for the Browns. They got to build a culture, but they certainly have the talent in order to win a lot of games and make the playoffs. Man, it's exciting if you're a fan of the Cleveland Browns. They've never in my lifetime been this interesting. The Browns are fantastic. We're talking about them potentially making the playoffs next year. That is really cool as a football fan. The Raiders, I think, also hit a home run so far this offseason with their moves. The first thing they did was traded for Antonio Brown, who I think is, personally, if you ask me, he's the best wide receiver in the NFL. But at least we can all acknowledge, whether you agree or not, he's at least one of the best wide receivers in the entire NFL. I love that move. They added him. That's fantastic. They also added a new left tackle, Trent Brown. He's 25 years old. He brings stability to the Raiders' offensive line. That's fantastic. I do think they slightly overpaid for him. They gave him a 4-year deal worth $66 million. That's a lot of money for Trent Brown. But he's young. They're investing in him. And I really think he's going to bring stability. Again, he's going to really help the Raiders on the offensive line. And the Raiders are spending money. They are going for it. But it's not just those 2 moves that really excite me. They also signed a safety, LaMarcus Joyner, from the Rams. They signed receiver Tyrell Williams from the Chargers. I love Tyrell Williams. He's a guy from Western Oregon University, which is nearby me. They're also pairing him with Antonio Brown. Tyrell Williams and Antonio Brown together are going to work really, really well. All the numbers Tyrell Williams had last year, he had 41 catches, 653 yards. They're going to explode and go up dramatically because teams are not going to know how to cover Antonio Brown. They're going to invest a lot of time and a lot of bodies to covering Antonio Brown. And as a result, Tyrell Williams, a really talented young wide receiver, is going to be open a lot more than he was in the past. And I think could play a similar Juju Smith-Schuster role. What we saw with the Steelers was Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster work really well together and create opportunities for each other. That is what Tyrell Williams and Antonio Brown are going to do together with the Raiders. I am so excited to watch how they work off of each other. Now, here's another thing the Raiders have. I've talked about the Raiders' moves. That's fantastic. They still have 3 first-round draft picks in the 2019 NFL Draft. There's a lot coming ahead for the Raiders, and I cannot wait to watch how they continue to build their roster. Another team that made really great moves so far in NFL free agency is the 49ers. The first thing they did is they traded for defensive end Dee Ford, a pass rusher DN guy from the Chiefs. They traded for him. They gave up a second-round pick in 2020, and they re-signed him to a 5-year deal worth $87.5 million. They said, we want Dee Ford. You're a great pass rusher. We'll bring you in. We will invest in you. I love it, man. They spent a lot of money, but they got their pass rusher. They wanted a guy like Dee Ford. It's fantastic for the 49ers. The 49ers also signed running back Tevin Coleman from the Falcons. He's worked before with their head coach, Kyle Shanahan. They also signed linebacker Quan Alexander. A lot of people are saying Quan Alexander is an overrated signing. Sure, I think the reason why they did this and what I like about this signing is they said, we want a linebacker. We've been trying to fill a need for a long time. They had to release Reuben Foster after he could not keep it together off the field. They brought in Quan Alexander. They're trying to fill a need. I'm okay with that. The defense for the 49ers is really, really close, and I like the moves they made so far this offseason. Also worth noting, look, the 49ers still have the number 2 overall pick. They're going to continue to build their defense and build their roster, and they got a lot of good stuff ahead if you're a 49ers fan. The Ravens also did really well. I am proud of the Ravens. I thought they might make a move to go get Le'Veon Bell. They did not do that. They found an even better, really a better deal at running back. They signed Mark Ingram, the running back from the Saints, to a 3-year deal worth $15 million. Really reasonable, really good job. You're pairing Lamar Jackson and a really good running back together. That's going to be exciting to watch. Now, the money I don't love, but is really still a good move, is the Ravens signed Earl Thomas, the Pro Bowl safety, and probably the best safety in the NFL, to a 4-year deal worth $55 million. It's expensive. Look, I don't know that I would have given him this much money, but he's still a fantastic player, and they went after it. They got a really, really good safety, and I can't blame them. Here's what's going to happen next year. They're going to play the Browns. The Browns have Odell Beckham Jr., Jarvis Landry, Antonio Callaway, David Njoku, a bunch of weapons all over the place. The Ravens are really preparing themselves for that game by getting Earl Thomas, and I cannot wait to watch. The Ravens-Browns next year is going to be a fantastic, fantastic game. You saw the Ravens invested in their pass defense with Earl Thomas. The Browns got better at throwing the football, and the Ravens have gotten better at running the ball, and as a result, the Browns have reacted by signing Sheldon Richardson to get better at running. Browns-Ravens next year is going to be a really good game. I cannot wait to watch. Now, the final team I thought that made brilliant moves, and really just one brilliant move that I think it's not a massive move that's all over headlines, but it's a move worth noting. The Patriots made a move and signed for Michael Bennett, defensive end from the Philadelphia Eagles. He's 33 years old. He's a 3-time Pro Bowler. And what's worth noting here is that Bill Belichick's best thing is working with defensive linemen. He worked with Lawrence Taylor years ago with the Giants, and I think this could be a very, very underrated move. He's older. He's 33 years old, but Michael Bennett paired with Bill Belichick could be a really interesting match. And it's also, look, Martellus Bennett is Michael Bennett's brother. Michael Bennett knows what the Patriots are about. His brother played for them for years, and I think Michael Bennett could be a steal the Patriots got so far in free agency, and I really, really like that move. I'm excited to see what kind of impact Michael Bennett has in the future for the New England Patriots. Now, that leaves us with 3 teams that neither amaze me or intrigue me. They are, neither amaze me or disappoint me. 3 teams really, really intrigued me. The Lions, the Colts, and the Jets, for all different reasons. This is why the Lions' off-season moves really, really excited me and really intrigued me. I don't know if they're good or not yet, but they're worth noting, and I'm curious in what's going to happen with them. Lions head coach Matt Patricia is the former Patriots defensive coordinator. He spent a lot of time in New England, and he's gone out and signed 2 former Patriots. He signed former Patriot wide receiver Danny Amendola, and he signed former Patriot defensive end Trey Flowers. Here's why it's really curious and really intriguing. It's appeared like for the entire year so far that Matt Patricia, since he got hired, has been trying to develop and establish the New England Patriots locker room and culture with the Detroit Lions. I think it's possible that these 2 moves really help promote that change. They're trying to promote their new culture and change to become more like the New England Patriots. I think signing 2 former Patriots is a really move that's indicative of that. I don't know that Danny Amendola is going to make a huge impact at wide receiver for the Lions, but he's a guy who gets their culture and understands what it takes to operate their system, and I think that's why he was brought into the Lions. Now, finally, the teams that really, really intrigue me are the Jets and the Colts. The Jets and the Colts both had more cap space than any other team going into the 2019 NFL free agency, and so the Colts had the most, the Jets had second most. Last season, the Colts made the playoffs. The Colts had a good year last year, and the Jets did not. The Jets went 4-12. They were last in their division. And as a result, with all their money and all the stuff they had prepared, these 2 teams took quite opposite approaches. The Jets signed a bunch of players. The Colts have not. The Colts have really sat on the sidelines for much of the NFL free agency. The Jets did this. The Jets signed a new linebacker, C.J. Mosley. He's a 4-time Pro Bowler. He's 26 years old. Got a 5-year deal worth $85 million, $51 million guaranteed. The Jets said, we're going for it. We're spending a lot of money. We're going to invest heavily in players and make our team better. They also signed running back Le'Veon Bell, a 3-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. They signed Le'Veon Bell to a 4-year deal worth $52.5 million, $25 million guaranteed. Honestly, look, I think that's a lower price than I expected anybody to sign Le'Veon Bell for, which means the market for him was probably really weak. There probably weren't a lot of teams that wanted Le'Veon Bell, but they made a move and signed a high-level free agent to make their team better. The Jets also signed wide receiver Jamison Crowder, a 25-year-old solid slot wide receiver. He makes their offense a little bit better. They also traded for, I'm going to get this wrong, Kelechi Osemele. Wow, I'm butchering this. It's Kelechi Osemele. That is the offensive guard, a 2-time Pro Bowler that the Jets traded for from the Oakland Raiders. I like what the Jets have done. They made a ton of moves and spent a ton of money. The question is, will it pay off? Is it smart money? They spent money. Spending money isn't necessarily good. Now, what the Colts did on the flip side, the Colts had even more money than the Jets had to spend. And the Colts have crickets. They didn't spend any money. They made basically no moves. They signed like literally one player, and they're all backups. They're all reserves. I'm really curious to see how these two teams contrast in the future. Do the Jets get way better? Do the Colts suffer because they didn't sign anybody in free agency? Or did the Colts do the right thing and not spend any stupid money and not bring in any high-level free agents because they said, we're going to only invest in players we like, we're going to draft really well, and we're going to make sure we get good deals. I'm really curious to see in the future how the contrast and strategy between the Jets and the Colts pays off. Which team wins in the end? I don't know. Right now, I think the Colts are better, but the Jets are up and coming. They have a lot of good players. They have a really good young quarterback, and I think a young, solid offensive coach with Adam Gase. Watch the Colts and watch the Jets. Watch how they converge or diverge in the coming months and which team looks better and better next season. That's what I want to watch. So again, 3 teams that were baffling. The Broncos, the Titans, and the Giants are baffling to me. I don't know what they're doing. 5 teams were brilliant. I think the Patriots, the 49ers, the Raiders, the Browns, and the Ravens were all brilliant. I loved their moves. And 3 teams I found really intriguing that I'm not sure are good or bad yet are the Lions, the Jets, and the Colts. Those 3 teams, I'm on the fence. I don't know what to think of those. But those are the 11 teams I wanted to cover so far in NFL free agency. 11 teams I thought were really fascinating that grabbed my attention, and I thought I had something worth saying about them. My name is Zach Schaumler. This is my podcast, Strong Opinion Sports. It is my favorite thing in the entire world. And I want to ask for your help. I want this show to grow. I want more people to watch and more people to listen to this podcast. My dream is to do this show as my full-time job. I want to own it myself. I want to do it on the internet and have complete control. I don't want to do it for CBS or ESPN. I don't want to work for a big network. I want to own it myself. And if you believe in that dream, please do me a huge favor. Help me grow by telling your friends about this podcast. Share it on Facebook, share a link on Twitter. Maybe you screenshot it, put it on Instagram. I don't have a marketing strategy beyond this. This is all I have. You know, a lot of people, one of the most common comments I get on YouTube is, you have great content. We love your stuff. You deserve more viewers. What you should do is you should buy ad spaces on Facebook or Twitter or promote yourself and buy ads. I have no money. I am a broke college kid. I can't buy ad spaces. I don't have money to pay for books. And so my plan, this is my marketing plan. This is my strategy. All I plan to do is put every ounce of effort I have into making the very best podcast I can. I believe if I make a great product that people believe in, that people like, then they will share it with their friends. And so if you agree with that, if you believe in the show, if you like what I do, please do me a huge favor. Tell your friends about it. Help me grow by telling your friends about this podcast.